And just in the last 2 weeks, you've been working 24/7. No matter what and no matter what and when emergencies happen, FEMA is always there. You deserve the nation's gratitude and full support. And right now, if you're in the National Guard and you get called up, you can still keep your job. But if you're in a FEMA reserve, that's not the case. That's why early this morning, I signed into law the Bipartisan Crew Act, championed in the Senate by Gary Peters and Rob Portman, in the House by Dina Titus and John Katko. And we signed it. That law will ensure that FEMA reservists have job protection just like military reservists. Just like military reservists. So when you're called up to help with a disaster, you can now focus on that mission without worrying you might lose your job, your day job, or receive some other penalty at work because of this national service. That's what the Crew Act guarantees. And it's going to help people become gain more civilian reservists out there. And it's going to make FEMA stronger. It's going to make America stronger. That's who we are. Every time disaster strikes, emergency crews from all over the country, from across the federal government show up to help like they're doing right now in Florida. That's America, a country of women and men willing to serve, willing to leave their own families to help a stranger's family. Everyone hard at work in Florida right now deserves our thanks. And when the conditions allow it, I'm going to be going to Florida to thank them personally so we don't get in the way. I'll do our best. We're going to do our best to build Florida back as quickly as possible, but we're not going to be leaving. We're going to build it back with the state and local government. However long it takes, we're going to be there. That's my commitment to you. I want to now turn it over to Secretary Mayorkas.
Sure. Mr. President, do you plan to meet with Governor DeSantis when you're down there?
I'll meet with everybody who's around.
And Mr.
The
President,
answer is yes, if he wants to meet.
do you plan to go to Puerto Rico as well?
That's my intention.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Our hearts go out to the people in the affected areas. At DHS, our highest priority is the preservation of life and safety. DHS is working with our federal, state, local, and non-governmental partners to support the needs of the areas that are and may be impacted by Hurricane Ian. I want to thank the President for his leadership in signing the major disaster declaration that unlocks critical assistance to help jumpstart impacted Floridians' road to recovery. FEMA and the United States Coast Guard are focused on life-saving and life-sustaining response operations, and we are launching the recovery mission. The Coast Guard has completed extensive preparations in advance of Hurricane Ian to minimize impacts to maritime commerce, ensure public safety, and position ourselves for a rapid response. Currently, the Coast Guard has aircraft, cutters, flood response assets, and response personnel staged throughout Florida ready for immediate deployment. FEMA has teams in place who are ready to help those who need it most. We have thousands of our personnel deployed throughout the Department of Homeland Security, not only from FEMA and the United States Coast Guard, but also from our Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency and from TSA. Today, I will be activating the DHS Surge Capacity Force so that we can bring to bear additional personnel from across the department to support disaster survivors in Florida. When a catastrophic event hits, DHS approaches response and recovery work with the full expanse of our resources and our capabilities. Our work in support of those affected by Ian will continue in the days, weeks, and months to come. This is not just a here today and gone tomorrow. We are here, as the President has articulated, throughout the need for full recovery. In that regard, with respect to Puerto Rico, as the President mentioned yesterday, I approved a temporary and targeted Jones Act waiver to ensure that the people of Puerto Rico have sufficient diesel to run generators needed for electricity and the functioning of critical facilities as they recover from Hurricane Fiona. We are in it for the long haul. Now, it's my pleasure to turn it over to Administrator Deanne Criswell of FEMA.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I would first like to, again, begin by thanking the President for being here in FEMA's National Response Coordination Center. This is the heartbeat of what we do right here. This is where we bring the federal family together. These are some amazing public servants. I'd also like to thank the President for signing the CREW Act earlier this morning. Mr. President, behind us here are dedicated public servants from across the federal family. Behind us are the dedicated public servants who have been working tirelessly, day in and day out, to get help to those who need us most. These are the dedicated public servants who have put the needs of others before their own, and these are the public servants that we count on to respond to America's worst day. This is what the full force of the federal family looks like right here behind me. I'd like to recognize every single person here, as well as those on the ground in Florida and those supporting from our Region 4 office in Atlanta, for the extraordinary efforts that they have put forth during this historic emergency response. So we have been brought together here in a moment when millions of Floridians are navigating the aftermath of what is going to be one of the most catastrophic events they've experienced. My heart aches for those people who have been in the path of Hurricane Ian, for the lives that have been forever changed by this storm, and for the communities that will simply never be the same. America woke up this morning to images like Naples, Punta Gorda, and Cape Coral submerged underwater. Homes across Fort Myers that have been torn from their foundations, and boats that have been found blocks away from where they were moored. But Hurricane Ian is still a very life-threatening storm. We are expecting the storm to continue making its way to Georgia, South Carolina, and into North Carolina, maintaining tropical storm force winds, deadly storm surge, and rainfall of up to 12 inches. As many have said, Hurricane Ian is going to be a storm that we talk about for decades. But from the moment Hurricane Ian became a threat, we already had the right teams in place who were ready to answer the call of those that need us most. To the heroic first responders and search and rescue teams that have been running towards danger to save lives, to the brave medical teams providing compassionate and life-saving care, to the local, state, and federal emergency managers working side by side to tackle challenge after challenge, to our meteorological partners who have been providing us with critical weather data hour after hour, and to the voluntary partners providing food and shelter to those who have just lost everything. I thank you, all of you. We thank you, and our nation thanks you. Now, we know that the next few days are going to be difficult. We have some very complex problems that we are going to have to solve. But like I said, we have the right teams in place who are ready to help those who need us most. And as I shared with the President just moments ago, search and rescue missions are already taking place across the impacted areas by land, air, and sea. We have teams ensuring critical health facilities like hospitals and adult care facilities have the support they need to care for their patients or evacuate them if still needed. We have power restoration teams making their way into devastated communities that help bring communities back online. And while we are focused on life-saving and life-sustaining response operations, we are already launching our recovery mission. An interagency recovery group is already planning for the long-term recovery needs, such as housing, debris removal, and critical infrastructure repair, as we know this is going to be a complex recovery. As you heard already, the President signed overnight a major disaster declaration that unlocks critical assistance to help these communities jumpstart their road to recovery. Individuals and families right now in Charlotte, Collier, DeSoto, Hardy, Hillsborough, Lee, Manatee, Pinellas, and Sarasota, they can now register for assistance and begin their recovery process. You can register by visiting disasterassistance.gov, through our FEMA app, or by calling 1-800-621-FEMA, 1-800-621-3362. And now that the sun is up and we are continuing to do our assessments, We will add more counties for individual assistance. The next few days, they're going to be difficult. We have some very complex problems to solve. But like I said, we have the right teams in place who are ready to help those who need us most. And regardless of how bad it is, I commit to everyone here today that FEMA and our partners across the federal, state, and local levels remain ready and prepared to help these communities in their greatest time of need. Thank you.
Let me add one more thing. We didn't mention the Red Cross. The Red Cross is there. They're always there. They stepped up, and they continue to step up. So I want to thank them as well. Thank you.
President, how would you describe your relationship and your conversation with Governor DeSantis?
It's totally irrelevant, but I'll answer it, okay? In fact, very fine. He complimented me. He thanked me for the immediate response we had. He told me how much he appreciated it, said he was extremely happy with what was going on. This is not about whether or anything having to do with our disagreements politically. This is about saving people's lives, homes, and businesses. That's what this is about. And so I've talked to him 4 or 5 times already. And it's not a matter of my disagreements with him on other items.
Do you hold Russia responsible for the rupture of the Nord Stream pipeline?
Let's stick with this, okay?
This is an important international issue.
There's a lot of important international issues, but we're here to talk about America.
Well,
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Yeah, it looks like he's moving towards OSA. Yeah. All right, Press, we got to roll soon.
trucks are downrange. Down the convention center has their helicopters inside. And somebody's pitched their tent underneath the helicopters. Oh, this is Tampa General. This is the local medevacs. Somebody's got their tent in there. One of the oh, that's Orange County Fire Rescue. There, when it started flooding. Military helicopter. This is hard. Got some 60s in there. Tim Wallace. He's down there. Somehow I got himself employed with NISAR. I'm jealous. She was there. Hour and a half.
Well, sorry. But I'll try next time. Excuse me. It was nice talking to you. Excuse me. Yeah, no, I mean. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. All right, the president has left the building or has left the area. You have freedom of movement within the room, but we still ask that nobody leave the area until the president has left. There's also going to be crews taking down their equipment and their items, so we'll try to keep as least disruption to as possible. Thanks for everybody that came down.
Sure, but I think you just turned it back off.
Oh, did he get the mult box working?
I
It's
don't
not
think
working
so.
at all? Last I checked, it wasn't.
I don't think so. As far as I know.
No, it should be coming through.